When I was in the US back in the 1990s, a lot of people couldn't even pronounce my Chinese name. Z? Zai? 11? Hi, I'm Joe Wang. I'm a comedian who spent half my life in China and the other half in the United States. I've seen what unites us and where we're different. I just feel that in America, the elderly are subjected to a lot of harsh living conditions like running for president. I've seen so many changes all around the world, but especially in China. When I came back to China, I found it has become unrecognizable in so many places.
我们过去50-60年间所发生的变化，可能超过了以前的几千年。
那么它的效率呢，1个小时可以出850盘菜。
Enormously energetic and full of opportunity.
有时候我也会感慨，跟他们一起坐下来感慨，这个我们都没想到会能到现在这样。
One of the best ways to understand that change is through one of our national obsessions. I didn't know there was the stereotype of Chinese being good at math, but come to think of it, the Chinese do have a way with numbers. A classic journey starts with 3, 2, 1, let's go. The journey in China starts with 318. National Route 318 goes from Shanghai all the way to Nepal, the birthplace of Buddha. In China, when we say highway, we really mean high. 318 is emblematic of how infrastructure is changing lives here. Bringing goods to an expanding market, tourists to the wildest, most beautiful corners of the country, and how it's continuing to evolve in the 2020s. And the best way to understand that change is the number 318. There is a Chinese saying, if you want to get rich, build a road. The middle school that I went to decided to build a road. It took us 2 months to finish it. Later, someone said to me, hey, isn't that child labor? I was like, no, none of us got paid. Building roads like the 318, China's longest national highway, is making lots of people luckier than I was, bringing new opportunities to some unique rural businesses. Who would have thought 40 million people here work picking mushrooms? There are several hundred types of edible mushrooms that grow in China, playing a huge role in medicine and cuisine. And despite most of the world using the Japanese name matsutake, 75% of the world's supply of the mushroom comes from China.
第一次我们来捡松茸的时候，那时候没捡到人啊，一个都没捡到。然后看到我们哥啊，他们一捡到的时候，就旁边就在那个松茸旁边啊，到处喊。松茸也被称为是军中的贵族，这个好的好吃，也可以生吃啊，就这都可以吃啊，这个东西。
Matsutake only grows at high altitudes, like those found in the Qinghai Tibet Plateau, which makes it hard to access them and to get them to the posh restaurants of the big cities.
我叫四郎，我现在在稻城县。我们主要是经济来源就是靠这些大自然馈赠的松茸。以前想把松茸卖到外面去，那肯定是基本上是不大现实的。那时候交通特别不方便，然后到处都反正要坐大巴。到时候你卖的时候已经沉了，很多东西已经腌了，颜色也不是那么好看，所以说也卖不起价格。但是现在不一样了。今天天气不好，只捡了3、4斤，一会儿发到上海去。不像现在的话有什么快递啊，然后飞机啊啥的，直接可以发顺丰啊，或者是空运，直接用最新鲜的可以交到顾客手里。
Transport links have been the focus of local government policy in China. Instead of big welfare, China has been identifying pockets of poverty and creating opportunities for people to generate their own wealth. And this requires infrastructure. Remote communities still face many challenges in China, but new roads are beginning to make creating their way out of poverty possible.
我
我们这里是四川省甘孜州雅江县松茸村，我们在这里建了中国最大的松茸产业园区。到我们现在快速高速公路的开通，加318的扩建过后，我们的路程更好走。
Allowing mushrooms to be sold around the country creates jobs that help locals benefit from the mushrooming new business.
有的可以带我们的形成产业工人，有的就的发展旅游产业，有的也可以来种我们的蘑菇，那么带动更强，形成一个扶贫的综合体。比如有叉车工、锅炉工那些焊工、剪锅的工人、切片的工人。现在专业分工，我们培训了260多产业工人。我们整个有带动了大概30家贫困户左右。
By providing a way to sell the products, the road made projects like this possible, meaning work, whatever the weather.
但是原来以前没得，这个下雨天也可以做，晒太阳也不晒太阳，这可以做。
所以说，对于这个318，甚至这条路来说，对吧？我经常在这条路上跑，因为这条路也就是我的一个经济路，也是我的生命上的一个可以说改变我人生的一条路。
When I was little, I don't think I've ever even seen a car, but I did have a dream about driving in a four-wheeled vehicle somewhere. You know, I guess it's like human nature to anticipate traveling around the world. I didn't get a patent. I was beaten to it by Henry Ford. But cars in China are still evolving fast. While concrete is being used to build the 318 in Sichuan, China is also investing heavily in digital highways for those cars of the future.
小薇，我要去东方明珠。
In big cities like Shanghai, you can already spot the new generation smart electric cars of the future.
像燃油车，我们可能需要一边开车一边去用手触碰这些按键。我们的话只要跟他说我想要做什么就可以了。
请说第几个？
第一个。
你选择第一个。
Of course, most people in China don't own a car at all yet, let alone an electric one. But one thing is certain, cars here are changing fast. And this e-revolution needs new e-infrastructure. Electric vehicles need a dense, nationwide network of convenient fast charging stations. And self-driving cars require 5G tech. Its high bandwidth and super fast connection speed are crucial to make autonomous vehicles responsive and safe. The new digital infrastructure revolution will power the new world of electric and autonomous cars. But it's not a one-way street. We already know that e-cars require new infrastructure. But it turns out that they can also become infrastructure by plugging in batteries to the national power grid. E-cars not in use can actually be connected to the state electricity grid to act as spare capacity and provide electricity to homes and businesses on demand.
那电费在国内中国最便宜的时候呢，可能在晚上。晚上你比如10点、11点之后，这个时候电费有些地方可能只有3毛。但是在比如我们现在白天的时候，可能或者是晚上6点大家刚到家的时候，各种电器全开了，这个时候呢，电量的需求又很大，它也是一个非常大的能源电能的储存设备。现在我们可以实现这样，就是通过充电桩，特定的充电桩，可以把车里边的电能，然后反向输送于电网。
It's really amazing to me that your vehicle can actually charge into the national power grid. Not only you're helping the environment by driving a clean, zero-emission vehicle, but also you're contributing to the environment overall. And that is really important because China is trying to achieve carbon neutral by the year 2060. Ancient Chinese people's engineering talent is unfathomable today. How could they build the entire Forbidden City without a single nail? I once pondered about this in front of a pile of bars and nails, aka a desk from IKEA. I think the infrastructure used to be associated with Western countries. You go there, you have nice roads, sense of well-being. Right? That's very important. Without infrastructure, it's very hard to do anything. The business or travel or enjoy life in general. The Yangtze Delta is one of China's most famous success stories, getting rich as a result of the infrastructure. But in some ways, if anything, it's become too successful.
我们知道这个沪宁高速公路现在已经是8车道的高速公路，而且这日均通车量已经是流量是非常大。
Nearly 100,000 cars a day travel along just one 300-kilometer stretch of the road between Shanghai and Nanjing. This part of the country is famous for its huge freshwater lakes. So to avoid building long, environmentally unfriendly roads or bridges, or destroying the vital natural resource, they built a highway that goes low, a low way.
太湖隧道建成通车以后，将会是沪宁的一个第2通道，对缓解沪宁高速的通车压力是有很大的帮助的。我叫王浩平，我来自江苏溧阳。当时我来这个项目的时候呢，整个给我的印象就是太湖很美。我们在这么美的太湖上面要建一个这么伟大的工程。
Yet, the construction has been one long story of problem solving for Wang and the team. The silt on the lakebed turned out to be very deep, so they had to adapt their design and stabilize the foundations to ensure the nearly 11-kilometer tunnel is completely stable. And in the typhoon season, the lake level rose very high, but the tunnel came through it all with flying colors.
经历了很多项目的建设，但是太湖隧道是我此生，也许是此生，但是目前这个状态下所见到的、所经历的、所管理的最大的一个项目。
Infrastructure projects often leave a big environmental footprint. So one of Wang's biggest challenges was to build a huge tunnel under Tai Lake with minimal environmental impact.
我们施工过程当中呢，就是整个钢板桩的打桩是采用了一些静音的一些设备，然后对使得噪声减少到最低，然后绿色环保也十分的重视，然后分2期，一共放生了63吨的鱼苗，维持整个太湖生态的一个渔业生态资源的一个多样性。
It must be wonderful to drive in the tunnel, knowing that delicious fish are swimming above us. Fish.
80后是很幸运的，我觉得自己非常自豪，能亲身经历的这个工地。然后也许我会对以后我的小孩说，爸爸曾经在这么大的工程上经历过、建设过，为自己的祖国贡献过一份力量。我觉得我是很自豪的。
These days, more and more people in China can afford to travel. Many of the people driving through the Lake Tai Tunnel will be tourists. For most vacationers, airports are their starting points. But Daxing Airport is so stunning, it's the destination for tourist groups. But China's engineering expertise can also transport people to the clean, wild, and beautiful parts of China. Like Daocheng Yading Nature Reserve on the Qinghai-Tibet Plateau, described as the last pure land on our blue planet.
因为中国是一个比较地大物博的地方，然后在甘孜这个地方是四川面积占地最大的地方，然后但是交通不方便，然后如果按以前如果不建机场的话，坐车需要2到3天的时间才能从成都到稻城。
Some extraordinary engineering has made it accessible to the wanderlust of China's increasingly adventurous holidaymakers. The world's highest commercial airport.
然后自从建了机场过后，时间就从2、3天直接缩短到55分钟， 然后有利于当地的居民，还有就是外地的想要过来体验一下世界上唯一一片净土的景区的这种风采，就是为了建设机场。
I just found the airport really amazing because it's like over 4,000 meters high. That's almost half of the flying altitude. So I guess the takeoff and landing will be easier, right? The plane might be halfway to cruising altitude before it even takes off. But enabling people to visit the roof of the world was a huge engineering challenge.
空气比较稀薄导致空气的升力肯定跟平原比起来，升力就要稍微的有损失导致飞机它的地速就比平常在平原落地的地速要大一些。然后说我们这边跑道比较长，一般在像成都只要3000多米，然后这边是4200米的跑道，然后导致飞机有足够的那个跑道鱼度滑行的速度来降低它的速度，然后以至于不容易冲出跑道。
This airport is another example of engineering genius that gives city dwellers access to China's natural wonders. Infrastructure also provides access to China's ancient cultural traditions too. Surprisingly, motorbikes is a thing now. I didn't know it was going to happen in China. I've never ridden one myself. A motorbike represents a sense of freedom and adventure and fun.
我们中国人相信个缘分，向往自由嘛。确实是318打开了新的世界，而且打开了新的可能。
Here, the 318 travels through some spectacular scenery.
它沿途要经过雪山、草原、湖泊、森林。
It's a place a lot of Chinese people like me would love to visit, to reconnect with the country's beauty. But until recently, a lot of the 318 was simply impassable.
没有二郎山隧道之前，翻山需要1天；有了二郎山隧道以后，现在只需要10分钟就可以通过二郎山。
Improvements like the Erlang Tunnel turned the slog into a pleasure and opened up this part of the country to adventurers on 2 wheels. Dong managed to turn his love of the open road into a business.
通了公路以后，对旅游的发展，那简直是突飞猛进的在发展，都有来这个川藏线来旅游的。下来坐，下来坐。对，我们这边嘛也有住宿，楼上有住宿，然后下面吧也有停车的地方。
I really envy his life because he actually is combining his hobby with his career. There's an old English saying that if you do the thing you love, you don't have to work a day in your life. And he's a perfect example of that. And the reason he was able to do that is because of the infrastructure China has been building up over the years.
Okay.
像之前这座我们这座小鸭的那个这座桥没建之前，然后那些骑摩托车都是那么压。
That old bridge brought back a lot of memories of having to cross a river on my way to school. During a windy day, it was a really crazy dance for me. It was like, oh.
318这条国道在我们摩里里面是听说是很出名嘛，然后而且陆续的，然后很多摩里都是很想要去走这条路。
你能看到美国的大老山，真的很不一样，然后见到每一个人，这一趟出来我就觉得，就像我人生的一趟修行，就像那些补习生一样，我会见每一个人。
Who says you have to suffer, meditate, and struggle to achieve nirvana? You can just take the 318. The highway brings in tourists and opens up all kinds of opportunities to improve the quality of life of those living there. Mushroom picker Silang also drives a taxi for tourists. But the new economic prosperity of his hometown means he can benefit from spiritual and cultural prosperity too.
想过就是长大以后去大城市啊挣钱啊，或者是去大城市生存，但是现在不一样了。 唐卡在我们藏人心目中有很高的地位，因为我们画的上面的佛像啊，包括很多东西啊，都是佛。然后慢慢的再和师傅认真的再学习一下画。如果是我们这一代不去学，下一代不去学，那慢慢的这种手艺就失传了呀，对吧？这也就藏族的这一门文化以后也就这样失传了。所以说我们得把这个文化得保留下去，对吧？慢慢的继承下去。
With people leaving their hometown to find work, traditions like this could easily be lost. Instead, they're being taken around the country. I first saw tanka miles and miles away in Beijing, where a friend of mine learned how to do it. With the ease of travel, ancient arts not only get preserved, but also get spread.
因为我们现在我们这边旅游开发，对吧？不一定要去外面城市里面打滚，因为我们这边就有很好的资源，有很好的平台，只要你去发展，对吧？只要有很大的发展空间呀。就和自己父母在一块儿，和亲戚朋友也挨得近，对吧？从小也长大的地方，高原肯定是对我最好的一个地方，不想离开的原因也在这儿。
Since I was growing up, infrastructure has revolutionized lives in China. And now a new generation of engineering innovations is ushering in the next revolution. But when they say if you want to get rich, build a road, it's not just about money. People in China are certainly becoming better off. But what I feel is as important is they're getting richer in so many other ways too.